The success that God has allowed me to have in the financial field, to which I worked a number of years at, in the Christian field, to which I'm now currently serving, all the areas in my life that I've experienced highly successful moments, my race, the color of my skin, has played a minuscule part in that success. I led my financial firm twice, 2 years in a row, #1 in sales and commission. I belong to be in the room. I'm not the black guy in the room. I'm the guy with business acumen, financial acumen. I belong in that place. Set me next to anybody else. I'm not going to kowtow next to a millionaire. I'm not going to kowtow to a person that has a PhD and master's in this and went to this school and went to that school. I'm not going to do that because I believe in my own abilities and I can handle myself in any room. All right, everybody, welcome to Studio B. I am your host, Pastor MDH. Thank you for joining us here on the set today. I am excited because we got a good show for you today. It's going to be a little shortened version of our normal podcast, but it's still going to be a goodie. I am excited, man, because God is opening up so many doors, man, and the blessings of God are flowing in so many different ways. And I'm just excited about this season of where we are right now. But remember, wherever you are watching us from, Facebook, Instagram, and or Twitter, I need you to like, follow, comment, share this podcast, like this podcast, comment on this podcast, because we want you to be involved with what's going on here on the set of Studio B. A couple of things that I want to talk about. One, I am not a prophet, nor do I claim to be one. Don't play one on TV either. However, if you guys have been a follower of Studio B, you remember back in late 2020, maybe early 2021, I did a series of podcasts on the cancel culture of what I called at the time the attack on free speech. And I went into this long diatribe with a whole lot of facts and figures and went all the way back to when America, gained its independence from Great Britain. And one of the first things that we did was implement free speech. That free speech should not land you in jail, should not cause you to get your head cut off or your economics to be enfranchised on. This was one of the first things that we did as America gained its independence from Great Britain. And during that time when cancel culture was at its highest, and people were getting canceled in all different ways and shapes and forms, I came on here and said we are setting a very dangerous precedent. A very dangerous precedent. Because people are going to say stuff that you don't like. People are going to say stuff that you don't agree with. But that is par for the course of human nature. Now, we talked about that you can't go into a movie theater and yell fire in a crowded movie theater because you yelling fire in a crowded movie theater does not protect you under the free speech clause. However, free speech is supposed to be free thought. And just because I don't agree with you and we have a difference of opinion does not mean you're not allowed to express that opinion, no matter how much I disagree with it. This is one of the things that makes America's not by far the only democracy in the world. There are many different democracies out there. But make no mistake about it, America has some freedoms that other people around the world do not enjoy. And one of the freedoms that we have is to be able to exercise disagreement or public discourse with those in political positions. If you go to Venezuela, that will land you in jail. If you go to Cuba, that will land you in jail. If you go to Russia, that will land you in jail. You cannot speak against those who are seated in political positions. But here you are and are expected to do so. But because we went down this very dangerous road of canceling people because they said things that we did not like, they said things that we did not agree with, they said some things that hurt other people's feelings, we got into this mode to where that will no longer be accepted. And I said here last year, be careful, because eventually they will come for you. Eventually you will make somebody mad, and the very boomerang that you threw out will eventually come back to you. We all know what's been in the news, and I'm gonna put this in two different sections if I can. But we know what's been in the news right now, and I wanna give you my perspective, and that's all it is. There's a little facts and figures that I put up in here, did some research, and tried to cross the T's and dot the I's as I normally do, because I don't want to be talking foolish. But we all know who's in the news right now. And it's ironic that this person is in the news because he is not a policy maker. He doesn't sign any laws. He's basically a nobody in the political arena. He has no political affiliation. He's not politically involved or connected in any way, shape, or form. But we now know that Joe Rogan is on the verge of, not on the verge, all guns are blazing at this man named Joe Rogan. Now, he's not a politician. He's not a statesman. He can't write laws. He can't sign policy. He is nothing but a talking head in a community. But I want you to see something. He is now being targeted because of misinformation. And I did a show with a good friend of mine on his podcast a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about this. This was before Joe Rogan came out, that we're living right now in a world where we celebrate what we know to be error. Like we know it to be false, and yet we still allow it to go on. We are literally in an Isaiah chapter 5, verse 20, beware when men call good evil and evil good. That's where we're at right now. As a nation, as a whole, we are celebrating known lies that everybody knows is a lie, but we are pushing it forward as truth when everybody knows that it's not. So Joe Rogan is coming under a lot of heat right now because Joe Rogan, who was an outspoken person against COVID-19 and the practices of COVID-19, has now since been almost there, banned. Now, just remember, it was 4 years ago that Joe Rogan signed a $125 million deal with Spotify. $125 million. But I want you to see something. I want you to see why they're going after Joe Rogan. CNN primetime ratings. Now, the numbers that I'm going to give you are per million. CNN primetime ratings is 0.82 per million. CNN's ratings are down 91% in 1 year. So they get about 800,000 viewers per show, CNN. MSNBC, 1.27 million views per show. MSNBC. Rachel Maddox, she gets 2.2 million views per show. The Ingram Angle, Lauren Ingram on Fox News, she gets 2.3 million views per show. Fox News Primetime, 2.3 million. Sean Hannity, 2.9 million. The Five on Fox News gets 2.98 million. Tucker Carlson Tonight gets 3.24 million views per show. So these are traditional media companies along with their anchors, and these are people that are experts in giving the news. But watch this. The Joe Rogan Experience, his podcast, gets 11 million views per show. Add them all together. He gets in one show what all of them are getting per show. 11 million views. 11 million views. Again, he's not a policymaker. He's not he can't sign laws. He can't push any type of agenda. He gets 11 million views per show on his podcast. Now, if you look at the trend over the last few years, podcasts have gone off the charts. Podcasts are now where people are getting their information from. And it is because we have a media that is so absolutely biased toward a certain narrative. No matter which one you turn on, they have a bent toward a narrative. And so now people are turning to podcasts, everyday Joe people. I'm not talking about people with high pedigrees or people in the field. I'm just talking about people that do the research and then start talking about it. Podcasts are on the move. Now, Joe Rogan gets 11 million views per show. A thing like Studio B, we get about 20,000. So we're not even on the radar as it relates to a Joe Rogan experience. But people are turning away from the news source, professionals, and turning towards podcasts. People that don't necessarily have a bent towards one way or another. Just do their own research and then just talk about it in an open forum. But I want you to think about this now. What's getting Joe Rogan in a lot of heat is because Joe Rogan has had medical doctors and scientific personnel on his show, scientists, that have went against the narrative of the COVID-19 for the last almost 2.5 years. Now watch this. Just yesterday, the CDC said that 75% of all the COVID deaths, 75%, the CDC director just said this yesterday on Good Morning America. 75% of all the COVID deaths had 4 or more underlying comorbidities. 75% of them. Of the people who died from COVID-19 had 4 or more underlying comorbidities. That's meaning high blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, immune deficiencies, all these other things. She goes on to say that those who died from COVID-19, the 75%, were already sick enough, and then COVID-19 just kind of put the cherry on top. Now, when we said that a year ago, we were called crazy. That we needed to make a distinction between those who died with COVID and those who died from COVID. But what we got was one big pot and the numbers exploded. So if the CDC director says that 75% of those who died from COVID-19 had 4 or more underlying comorbidities, we'll have that link in this podcast so that you can listen to it for yourself, then why are we forcing perfectly healthy people to get vaccinated? That's what she said. 75% of it. So what has happened now? The White House, Jen Psaki, the White House press secretary, and the administration is putting pressure on Spotify to cancel their contract with Joe Rogan. He was just recently offered yesterday another $113 million from a news site called Rumble to leave Spotify and come to Rumble. That was just yesterday. But why is this all going on? Joe Rogan is a commentator for the UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championship. He's no political figure. I've watched his podcast on many different occasions. He doesn't claim to be an expert at anything. He just has certain people. He's had Snoop Dogg. He's had Elon Musk. He's had Zuckerberg. He's had high-name people, no-name people. All the people come on his podcast. Mike Tyson has been there. Kevin Hart has been on there. Everybody's been on there. Dwayne Rock the Johnson. Everybody's been on there. Everybody has been on there. Dave Chappelle was just on there as recently as a few weeks ago. He's not a professional in any way, shape, or form, right? He's just a guy that's sitting down talking to people about life and about a whole lot of other different things. But here's the problem that I told you about. I told you about this. When you start going down this road and somebody says something that you don't like, because intellectually you're not able to handle disagreement, and then you aim your guns at them to cancel them and take away their voice simply because they said something that you don't like. Now, here's what Joe Rogan found out. $125 million man. They went after him to no end. Joe Rogan found out that he's fighting against the machine. And I'm gonna make a joke to you, but it was a joke, but it was actually kind of real. When I started doing this, I told my wife, I said, whoa, do you see what they're doing now? They've gone back 20 years, pulled up everything that he has said, put it in a 2-minute compilation where he is saying the word nigga. In a 2-minute compilation. Now Joe Rogan, who was never a racist before, is now a racist because they got a 2-minute compilation of him saying nigga. Now it's a show over here, a show over there, a show over here, a show over there. 3 of the shows that he's saying nigga, guess who's on the other side of the podium? Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg is calling Joe Rogan my nigga. They got a 2-minute compilation of him now. If you just look at the compilation and you don't know nothing about it and you take it at face value, he is the highest racist that you've ever seen. And I told my wife, I said, whoa, this is bad. Because they are looking to destroy, not censor. And destroy is a big thing. And so when I come on here and I say stuff, and if you look at our Facebook numbers and you look at our YouTube numbers, you can see that certain shows got boxed. So you'll have 30,000 views on this show and you'll have 219 views on this show. You'll see our highest viewership, we had 298,000 views 1 week before. The following week, as a matter of fact, when I was talking about COVID, we got 619 views. 300,000 to 619. I'm low level. I'm low level stuff. Like, this studio ain't nothing, high tech, and I don't have the budget as all these other people. Like, no way, shape, or form. I don't have the reach as all these other people. I'm a low level podcaster. I just get on here and kind of do some research and tell you what I think about it. Studio B, has been boxed into that. Hold on. I know it's going on. But again, when I told you that this is a very slippery slope, this is a very slippery slope. And now we have people saying because he used the word nigga, if that word offends you, please don't. Because my grandmother always told me this, and God bless her soul. So many things that I draw from the well of my grandmother. Boy, it's not what people call you, it's what you answer to. Nigga don't bother me, because I'm not a nigga. I'm not finna fight you because you call me a nigga. Okay? There was a point in time when we take that word nigga and we take it back to the 1800s where that word meant something. Now nigga is everywhere. It's everywhere. And if you are a nigga, then that's what you ascribe to. That's what you answer to. And I know it ain't popular, but you won't say nothing about a black man saying the word nigga. You won't say nothing about a black woman calling another woman a bitch. But when somebody else says it, oh, burn down the house. Burn down the house. Because when a black man says it, it's a symbol of affection. That's my friend, that's my homie, that's my nigga right there. Oh, but it's okay. That's what we call a double standard. If the word is offensive, don't use it at all. If you're listening to music that got that word in it, don't listen to the music. If the word is the word, then the word is the word. Oh, but there's a whole lot coming out now. Because now we got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson saying the word nigga. We got Howard Stern in blackface saying the word nigga. Matter of fact, calling Sherman Hemsley a dirty nigga in a little skit that they did. We got Jimmy Fallon saying the word nigga in blackface. Oh, all of it's coming out now. Everybody about to get this smoke now. Everybody about to get it. We're living in this world right now to where people are so sensitive. You know, I took my mom to Home Depot the other day, and we was just talking, and my mom said, you know, this generation just couldn't handle how I grew up. They just couldn't handle it. They are so sensitive where everything is offensive. And it messes up your world when people come against you. We couldn't have lived in Jesus' day. We couldn't have lived in his day. And this is one of the things that I said to the men a couple Mondays ago. Listen, if you're going to be a man is supposed to be built differently. A man is built differently. Okay, I understand people can tell you some hurtful things. They can tell you some hurtful things. Okay, get it. I absolutely get it. But why does it affect your world in that way? See, the reason why it affects your world in that way is because you don't know who you are. But at the end of the day, this whole thing about how we use this and it's okay for our community, but it's not okay for anybody else's community is foolishness. If it's not okay, it's not okay, period. Whoopi Goldberg just found that out. Oh yeah, Miss Whoopi. That the Holocaust says, she said it wasn't about race. When Hitler's regime was built on the Aryan nation, the purest of what they thought was the white blood. And every race under the Aryan nation was expendable. But be careful, because Hitler came into power as an underling, rose to the height of the German rule as the Führer. Hitler got the entire nation to believe that a people that were once a valuable part of that society, working in manufacturing, working in the medical, working in fields of government, the Jews who were once a valuable member of the German society, Hitler rose to power and convinced an entire nation that now 8 million people who at one point in time were valuable to us are now enemies of us. One man convinced an entire nation so that they would drive 50,000 people into a gas chamber where they were thinking they were taking showers. Now, I've been to the Holocaust Museum in Israel. Watch the footage of bulldozers bulldozing thousands of bodies into mass graves. One man got an entire nation to believe that this people group was bad for us, and they exterminated 8 million of them. But that wasn't by racism, she said. Now, guess what happened to the cancel culture? Came after her. Because what she didn't know is that the president of ABC is a Jewish man. And guess what? She got suspended for 2 weeks, came back on the next day, talking about she's thinking about quitting. Whoopi Goldberg makes $5 million a year. After taxes, she brings home $48,000 a week. Whoopi Goldberg was married to 3 white men, 2 of them Jewish. Her name is not Whoopi Goldberg, by the way. Married to 3 white men, 2 of them Jewish. And the very thing that she was advocating for years before on The View, that you can't say that and you need to pay for it, guess what happened? It came around and got her. That's what I told y'all. That's what I told y'all. Be careful, because it's coming back at you. I don't care who you are. So now we're in this time to where we are so engulfed into this whole thing, and we can't have logical conversations. I'm speaking at a summit of young black professionals. So I go to Belize next month. It'll be right after I get back from Belize. And in talking to Mr. Harrison a couple days ago, I told him that right now African Americans are integrated in every level of American society, from the lowest to the highest, in every single level. Every single level. Every single level. African Americans, black people are integrated into the American culture, to the American experience. Okay, to the American experience. That's what we are integrated in. You can't take us away. You're not going to forget about us, because we are literally in every single area. We're in politics, we're in academia, we are in financial, entertainment, sports. We're in every single area of life. And when you see the progress of African Americans and what African Americans have been able to do, one of the things, when you're going all the way back to our brothers and sisters who came over in 1619, actually before that, but our ancestors who had a deep and affirming love for God. And the deep affirming love that they had for God was not based on an intellectual understanding of who God was. It wasn't something that the masters passed over to them. It wasn't a white man's religion that was given by the slave masters down to his slaves in order to control them. You have a very skewed view of history if you believe that. Because if you believe that, then how do you explain Ethiopia? Ethiopia was never colonized, and it's one of the oldest Christian communities that we have in the world. But when you're looking at black people as a whole, black people have always been very spiritual, not very religious. We've been very spiritual people, connected to our Creator through our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. We've always been like that. But what you see happening right now is this mass exodus of Black America, African Americans, our people leaving the faith because they don't want to have nothing to do with it. And in turn, you are seeing the vices of those decisions. I would have people to really look and to get an understanding about where we are right now as a culture. I talk about it a lot because it needs to be talked about. When I was looking at this Joe Rogan thing and all of the melee that has come along with it, my grandmother used to tell me about stories that in my time right now would be absolutely unimaginable. Unimaginable. But it is the culture of my grandmother and my culture and my generation right now is a very different generation. And it's because we have $1,500 iPads and $1,000 iPhones in our hands. We got all of this technology. We have all of this stuff that is available to us to where we don't really need to work hard. What does that say? What does that mean? Pull it up, get a Google, do a quick search. You got your answer without any real effort. And so our world is becoming very effortless, and it's producing lazy people. And because we are so entrenched in social media, we are creating very sensitive people who really take internally what people say about them. And unfortunately, it's not a sustainable model. As a Christian man or woman, if you don't have the girth within you to withstand some of the fiery darts of the enemy, you won't last as a Christian. I'm telling you this. Listen, I am telling you this. There's some Christians that ain't ready for what's happening. There are Christians that are not going to deny Christ and deny Christ to the degree that if I deny him, my life may be taken from me. Because we are so insulated. We are so sensitive in this current generation right now to where you can't have hard conversations. So if you don't agree with somebody, man, listen, that's your right. Do you, man? You can turn this podcast off right now and say, man, that guy don't know what he's talking about. Man, do you? Man, the great thing about this is that you got choices, and a lot of them. But to shut somebody down because you don't agree with them, and to not engage in the public discourse because somebody has offended you, is to short circuit the process in its entirety. You'll never get anything accomplished. You'll never get anything accomplished. I have said about my own life, as I was talking to a young brother last night, I am, and the Bible says, if a man boasts, let him boast in the things of the Lord. I'm an educated man. I am a successful man. I've experienced success at each of the waypoints in my life. And I can tell you sitting right here, right now, that the success that God has allowed me to have in the financial field, to which I worked a number of years at, in the Christian field, to which I'm now currently serving, all the areas in my life that I've experienced highly successful moments, my race, the color of my skin, has played a minuscule part in that success. I've been a part of financial firms where I was one of 3 financial representatives. I led my financial firm twice, 2 years in a row, #1 in sales and commissions. I led teams with white men and white women that were under me, that had to subject to my leadership. I've been very successful in life and praise God for that. But here's one of the things that I've always believed. I believe that each person has got to have a rich Rolodex. Each person has got to have people that you know, that know you, and that you have established beneficial relationships with. Beneficial relationships with. And again, myself as 48 years old, being able to look back at my grandmother and say, my grandmother, I owe you something because of the hell that you went through. I've not gone through that hell. I've never been to a black water fountain, white water fountain. I've never worked at a restaurant and then had to go around to the back door to get the food from the very restaurant that I worked in. I never got spat on walking down the street. I never had to cross the street when a white man was walking down. I've never been in that. So grandmother, I owe you a debt. I owe you because of what you did in order to get me to the place to where I am right now. Mama, I owe you a debt because you came up under that as well. So because of that, and because of the wisdom that I have with the older people that I sit around, I have a different perspective than a lot of these guys. I'm going to go get it. Are people going to tell me no? Yes, they're going to tell me no. Are doors going to be shut in my face sometimes? Yes. Are people not going to want to deal with me? Yes. But I'm still going to go get it. My family not going to suffer because I'm thin-skinned. I'm going to get everything that God has called for me to get. Everything that God has assigned for me, I'm going to go and get it. And I'm not going to let you or anybody else withhold that which God has for me. So I'm overly aggressive in that. I told a young man at the gathering 2 weeks ago, listen, I belong to be in the room. I'm not the black guy in the room. I'm the guy with business acumen, financial acumen. I belong in that place. Set me next to anybody else. I'm not going to kowtow next to a millionaire. I'm not going to kowtow to a person that has a PhD and master's in this and went to this school and went to that school. I'm not going to do that because I believe in my own abilities and I can handle myself in any room. That's why Paul said, I am all things to all people that I may win some to Christ. I can operate in many different spaces, suit and tie, boardroom, J's and jeans on the streets. Whatever particular place that you put me in, I can operate well in that place. But it's because I was raised with people that didn't give me excuses, would not allow me to put down and lay down a mat of excuses so that I can sleep well at night. I just didn't come up under that. And it's hard for me as my struggle and as I pray for it. It's hard for me to listen to people who are riddled with excuses. It's just hard. it's just hard when your life is built upon excuses about why you can't do something. Because this person won't let me. This person don't like me. This person. Well, my gosh. I mean, where are we at as a nation? Where are we at as a people? Considering everything that we've gone through, even in Black History Month. Even in Black History Month, we are celebrating these heroes who died, gave their life as the ultimate sacrifice. Because there was a time that Black History in 1970 at Kent University, which is where it was first celebrated and commended and federally recognized by the presidents to have a month of observance for Black history. Now, it was actually started in 1926, but it was federally recognized in 1974. Well, we said, you know what, we're going to take an entire month and celebrate the achievements of Black America. These are men and women, not like a Sean Carter, not like a Beyonce. No, we're celebrating men like Carter G. Woodson, Booker T. Washington, Medgar Evers. We're celebrating people like that who took the mantle of their call and walked with it with confidence and authority, even though they knew it could ultimately end their life or end their life. We got a man like Martin Luther King Jr. who graduated with his PhD at the age of 26, could have went on to work for IBM and make six figures in his day. The $100,000 that he would have made in the early 60s would have been equivalent to $1.5 million in our time right now. But Dr. Martin Luther King, with a degree, PhD under his belt, chose not to go work for IBM, but chose to lead the boycott, chose to lead his people and lead them on to better days. And ultimately, his life was snuffed out because of the decision that he made. Those are the people that we celebrate. Those are the people that we celebrate that had a fearless countenance, knowing that I got to speak up, and this is going to cost me something if I speak up. But how can I not speak up when God has laid it upon my heart? Those are the people that we celebrate. I'm not celebrating Snoop Dogg. I'm not celebrating him. Snoop Dogg ain't done nothing for me. He ain't advanced no policy that is an agenda for the entirety of the Black community. So as we look at this stuff, man, listen, my wife told me, she say, you know, you a unicorn. I'm not a unicorn. I just think that God has given us this brain, and we ought to use it. So Joe Rogan is going on. Joe Rogan, if this thing comes by your podcast, if this flips up on your YouTube screen, let's talk about it on the Joe Rogan Experience. Yeah. Let me end with this. Romans chapter 14, verse number 1. This is Paul speaking. Paul said, as for the one who is weak in faith, welcome him, but do not quarrel over opinions. Notice the word there, opinions, because opinions are a dime a dozen. Everybody got them. Your opinion don't make it more valuable than mine. We just have a difference of opinion. And that's fine. But my brothers and my sisters, if you are a born again believer in Christ, I got people around me that push and inspire me. It pushes me past my comfort zone, and what I don't know, I try to take it up on myself to find out. But these are the people that I'm surrounded with. See, I'm not in a circle of people where we accept mediocrity. I'm not in a circle of people to where I could be doing the least and the people around me don't call me out for that. I'm in a circle of people that have done well and are doing well and are changing the narrative. They moving the needle. And when you get around people that don't allow you to bail out and to pull the parachute, man, your life is going to become a whole lot more productive. So I want to encourage you as much as I possibly can right now. Again, I'm not a prophet, nor do I play one on TV, but I told you this time was coming. I told you this time was coming. Cancel culture, taking everything away because you don't like what people say, was not beneficial. Listen, I love you enough not to listen to you. If you can affect my life like that, then I don't have much control over my life. If you can say something to me that gets me out of character and causes me to respond in a way that does not affect who I am, then you have more power over my life than I do. It's not what people call you. It's what you answer to. If you answer into those things, then that's who you think you are. But are you? I hope not. So everybody, I want to thank you again. Listen, we got to get out of here. But I want you to remember, we're still working out a few kinks on the Zoom portion of our podcast. I pray that will be up as we get some finality on that by next week or the week thereafter at the very latest. Because I got some people from around the country that unfortunately can't come to our studios, and people are actually on different continents that I want to bring to the set of Studio B, because I think when you hear the perspective of people in different countries and different cultures, it will enhance you in ways that will benefit your life. So those things are coming up. And remember, Marcus D. Holman, Pastor Holman, whatever you want to call me, I want you to get all in them comments, okay? And I want you to talk about this stuff, man. I want you to leave, whatever comments. Now, if you've been looking at YouTube just recently changed their algorithm from likes to dislikes. So you can't see the number of dislikes that are on your page now. And a little side note, do you know why that is? I'll tell it to you next week. It has something to do with 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. But I want you to like, dislike. I want you to comment, good, bad, or indifferent. Say, hey, Pastor Holman, you way off base on this. Let's talk about it. And again, you have an open invitation. If you think you add something of value and you want to come sit down right here at the set of Studio B, send me an email, PastorMDH, PastorMDH@StudioB.com. I will answer those emails. As a matter of fact, I answered 4 of them last week. So I will answer those emails if you send it to me and say, hey, I got something that I want to talk about from a different perspective. Let's sit down here at the table and let's talk about it in a nice and concise way. No arguing, no cussing, no throwing pots and pans, no walking away mad. We're gonna love each other at the end of the day, even though we might not agree, because that is the public discourse of how we get stuff done. So remember, Studio B, we're getting ready to revamp our website as well. That's Studio B, StudioBpod.com. That's getting ready to be revamped. You can go there for all of our videos, downloads, all the different stuff that's going to be on the website. We're doing some different stuff this year, and we want you to be involved with it. Merch is coming. The Studio B merch will be coming. And remember, the Patreon link is right here at the bottom of this description. You can log into Patreon and you will get exclusive access to 10-minute clips just for you. If you go ahead and subscribe to that Patreon link. But everybody, thank you so very much for joining us here on the set of Studio B. We love you. God loves you even more. Be blessed, and be blessed.